Metroid Prime Pinball is what happens when a special brand of crazy and a special brand of genius meet up and shake hands. The game is just what it sounds like, and it's just as good as you'd probably hope. By combining some well-designed pinball tables and lifelike pinball physics with the signature touches of one of Nintendo's best games from the past decade, this fun little DS game makes for a satisfying experience for Metroid fans as well as pinball fans. Of course, since this is a Metroid game, the star of the show is none other than interstellar bounty hunter Samus Aran, who spends most of the game rolled up into morph ball mode so that she acts just like a regular old pinball. You'd bump her around using the flippers into various ramps and targets and even lots and lots of bad guys, all as you're trying to earn a higher and higher score and beat up some of the big bosses from Metroid Prime. If you're a Metroid Prime fan, expect to see plenty of familiar sights, including many of the levels from that game just made up into pinball tables this time, and even some of the signature boss fights. There are several different modes of play. There's single mission, multi-mission, and multiplayer. The multi-mission mode involves finding various artifacts on each table, and as soon as you find enough artifacts, you're sometimes able to move on and choose a different table so that you can continue your adventure and rack up a huge score by bouncing around across the entire world of the game. In single mission mode, the difference is you just play on one table of your choosing and try and earn as high of a score as possible. Multiplayer requires just one copy of the game for up to 8 players and is a score challenge as players compete to see who can reach the total the fastest. There are plenty of little mini-games rolled into the experience, so as you hit various targets with Samus, you'll sometimes even see her turn into kind of her regular armored suit mode and start gunning down enemies, or you'll have to wall jump up to reach a certain artifact and take on various enemies, including the Metroids themselves. And this type of stuff really gives the game a good amount of variety and helps to make it a very good cross between a video game and a regular old pinball table, since for the most part, the behavior is just like a pinball table, but at the same time you've got these little enemies and bosses crawling around on the screen. Besides using the shoulder buttons to hit the flippers, there are some other aspects of the controls that take a little getting used to. For example, you use the touch screen in order to bump the table effectively to prevent the ball from going down the gutter. You can't tilt the table, and this bumping technique takes a little getting used to since you have to kind of reach over with your thumb, but it works well after a while. The other thing about it is, since the action takes place on both the top and the bottom screen, it can be a little disorienting at first when the ball kind of goes into your blind spot where you can't see anything. But since the ball behaves as you would expect it to for the most part, you can get used to this too. One other particularly interesting thing about Metroid Prime Pinball is that it comes packaged with a little rumble pack that goes into the GBA cartridge slot of your DS. This rumble pack makes kind of a weird twittering noise, so if you're playing the game in low volume, you'll definitely hear it. But other than that, it works pretty well and gives you that kind of tactile feel of actually being at a pinball table. All in all, these are some fun and well-designed tables, and they encourage you to earn as high of a score as you possibly can. The Metroid series is just about the most humorless in Nintendo's lineup, and to its credit, Metroid Prime Pinball totally plays it straight, just like all the other Metroid games do. The game's got a great presentation, including some fantastic remixed tunes from Metroid Prime, and it straddles the line between pinball simulation and pinball video game very well. It's also a great game to play for a few minutes on the go, but it'll even entice you to just keep pushing your scores higher and higher and having fun with this game time and time again.